Welcome to episode 1 of the 5-Day Relationship Challenge. I'm Sherry Kubinick, relationship and confidence coach. I help women figure out their relationships, grow, and prosper as you should. And I'm here today to talk to you about how you might be creating what you don't want instead of what you do want in your relationship. So, for any of you who have studied the science of manifesting, or perhaps you're a fan of Abraham Hicks, what we're talking about here is the idea of counter manifesting. So, if manifesting is really about understanding how to work with the universe or God or Buddha or whatever you consider to be your source, then counter manifesting is the idea of working against your source energy and essentially making it harder for the universe to help you out. So, I wanted to start the 5-day challenge with this concept because it's probably the most important concept to understand when you're struggling in your relationship or with creating the abundance that you really want in your life. So, here is a very basic formula for creating what you want in your life and in your relationship. Number one, you want something, so you have a desire. And often you determine what you want after you really realize what you don't want. And then the second step is you allow the universe to work with you to bring it to you. So, this means that if you want to be in a relationship that feels really good to you, you need to be willing to let that in. Okay, so you're likely thinking, well, that sounds very easy, except I know that I want my relationship to feel really good to me, and I would love to allow that to happen. So, why isn't it happening? And the answer is very simple, but the solution is where all the inner work lies. And we're going to talk about how to do that over the next 5 days, of course. And this is a huge piece of the work that we do over in Relationships Redone, and of course in the Prosper program. Basically, if you want something and you don't have it, you are resisting it in some way. There is some sort of a block, a resistant energy between you and what you want. Resisting is the opposite of allowing. Resistance is what comes from our deeply rooted false beliefs that cause us to stay in kind of the same place, which is the place that matches our beliefs and our emotions. So if you've tried, for example, not to be a burden your whole life, this is going to carry with it an energy that says, I'm not important, don't worry about me. And the result in your relationship is going to be that you feel like you're not important. Another example that's really common is that many women believe that if they don't control everything, it's all going to fall apart. And so that kind of energy says, I can't trust things to work out without my intervention. And then the result is that you're always feeling overwhelmed. You likely have a partner who doesn't step up to help very much. So resistance is always about beliefs and emotions that we carry from the past that are contrary to what our source energy wants for us. So your source doesn't think you're a burden and only sees you as incredibly important. So your source wants you to be kind of on the top of your priority list, but you likely resist that. And when your belief is contrary to source, you're in a state of resistance. If you can't feel important to you, it's going to be very hard to create a relationship where you feel like you're important to the other person. Or if you feel like you often are in this state of hypervigilance, trying to control everything and stay on top of everything, your source knows better. Source wants you to trust that all is well and that it's got your back. It's there to help you out. And this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be independent, but it does mean that we're all here together for a reason. That's just one example of a common false lesson or a common area of resistance. So creating what you want in a relationship isn't so much about learning more or better communication skills or your partner's love language, although those things are great, but it's about understanding that at the deepest level, resistant energy is rooted in fear. So if you want to start understanding where you're carrying that resistant energy, it starts by taking a look at where you show up that in ways that don't feel good to you, and then asking what fear is driving this. So is it a fear of not being good enough? Fear of making your partner mad? Fear of your partner not loving and accepting you for who you are? Because resistance is the opposite of allowing. This is counter manifesting. And it doesn't mean that you just sit back and wait for things to change. You're here to participate in creating your life, but it does mean that you want to align with what the beliefs and emotions are that are more based in love for yourself and for others. Because then you're working with the universe. This is when you're able to show up in a way that's guided by love, and then the universe works with you to help bring you the people, the situations, and the circumstances that'll help you create more of what you want. And I'll see you tomorrow.